Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be titled, Stop Crying About Your Ex, You Chose Them. It's normal to look back and feel disgusted by some of the people you've dated. Almost everyone who spent time in the dating world has exes they wish they'd never touched. People who, in hindsight, make you cringe. You replay the memories and wonder how you ever let them in. But here's the part nobody wants to admit. If you have an ex, that's on you too. If they were so awful, why did you date them in the first place? That's not a trick question. It's not an attack. It's just reality. People love to say, I didn't know they were like that when we first got together. And sure, maybe you didn't see the full picture right away. But don't act like there were zero signs. There are always signs. Nobody's perfect at hiding who they are. People leak their real personality constantly, in how they treat waitstaff, in how they talk about their exes, in what they say when they're pissed off, in their jokes that aren't really jokes. If you missed it, that's not because they were a master manipulator. It's because you weren't paying attention, or you didn't know what to look for. Or maybe, and this is the harder truth, you saw it and chose to look away. That's not a death sentence. It doesn't mean you're broken or stupid. It just means you need to get better at spotting red flags, learn patterns, learn behavior tells, train yourself. Because unless you were literally forced into a relationship, you made a choice. You said yes. You opened the door. You stayed. This isn't me bashing you. This is me saying, you own your decisions. And owning them is the first step toward never repeating them. Let's be real. Sometimes we do see the red flags and just ignore them. Why? Because the honeymoon phase is like a drug. It's intoxicating. You want it to work. You like how they make you feel in those early moments. Love, lust, validation, the thrill of being wanted, whatever you want to call it. It blinds you. It makes you forgive crap you'd never tolerate from a friend. It makes you rationalize behavior that deep down, you know isn't okay. And if you stayed with someone for 5-10 years while it was hell, at what point do you say, enough? I'm done? At what point do you stop acting like it was all them and none of it was you? People throw victim blaming around like it's some magical shield against personal responsibility. That's not what this is. This is reality. If you stayed, you participated. If you kept showing up, kept investing, kept hoping they'd change, that's not just on them. That's on you. I'm just burned out on hearing people bash their exes while completely ignoring the part they played. Healing doesn't come from scapegoating. It comes from accountability. Here's the analogy. You tell me you hate jelly donuts. You say they're disgusting. You'd never eat one. Then I find out you've eaten 25 jelly donuts in a week. I've literally seen you do it. My first thought? If you hate them, why the hell are you eating them? Same with relationships. If they're so bad, why the hell did you keep showing up? Now, before someone starts screaming in the comments, yes, there are real situations where people are trapped. Abuse, fear, financial control, kids being used as leverage. I get it. Those situations are different. Those situations require compassion, nuance, and support. But most of the time, that's not what's going on. Most of the time, it's just people staying in a situation they know is garbage because they can't or won't walk away. Because they're afraid of being alone. Because they think they can fix it. Because they've tied their worth to being chosen, even by someone who treats them like trash. We're all adults. We all make choices. What we eat, who we hang out with, what we spend our money on. Who you date is just another choice. If you keep choosing wrong and you know it's wrong, that says more about you than it does about the ex you're ranting about. It tells me you don't have much self-awareness. It tells me you can't recognize when you're in a bad situation. And if you can't do that, you're screwed. Not just in relationships, but in life. Self-awareness isn't some optional personality perk. It's survival gear. Same with discernment. If you can't tell when something's bad for you, you'll keep drinking poison thinking it's wine. You'll keep calling chaos passion. You'll keep mistaking control for love. You'll keep chasing intensity instead of stability because you've confused emotional turbulence with depth. And that confusion will wreck you again and again until you learn the difference. So no, I'm not shaming anyone. I'm not calling anyone deserving of abuse. I'm saying you're responsible for paying attention and making better choices. Because the faster you own your role in a mess, the faster you can make sure you never end up in that same mess again. And if you keep blaming only them, you'll just end up with another version of them later. Different face, same dysfunction. Because until you change your patterns will keep choosing for you. And here's the deeper layer. Sometimes we don't just ignore red flags. We're drawn to them. Because they feel familiar. Because they echo something from our past. Maybe you grew up around volatility, so now you mistake emotional chaos for love. Maybe you were taught that love has to be earned, so you chase people who make you prove your worth. Maybe you think being needed is the same as being cherished. It's not. But if you don't unpack that wiring, you'll keep walking into the same fire expecting it not to burn. So yes, reflect on your ex. But don't stop there. Reflect on yourself. Ask the hard questions. What did I ignore? What did I excuse? What did I crave so badly that I let myself be mistreated? What part of me thought that was the best I could get? That's where the real healing starts. Not in blaming, not in venting, but in understanding, in rewiring, in choosing differently next time. Not just in who you date, but in how you show up for yourself. Because the truth is, you don't just need better partners, you need better boundaries, better self-respect, better clarity. And that starts with owning your story. All of it. Not just the parts that make you look like the victim. Discernment is one of the most important skills you can develop as a person. It's not just a nice-to-have trait, it's survival gear. It can save you from unnecessary drama, toxic relationships, bad decisions, and situations that drain your energy or derail your growth. But here's the catch. Discernment isn't automatic. It's a choice. You have to decide to use it. You have to train it, sharpen it, and trust it. And yes, discernment is subjective. What one person sees as a red flag, another might see as a challenge worth taking on. What feels off to you might feel normal to someone else. That's because we all come from different experiences, different values, different emotional wiring. So when you're discerning something, whether it's a person, a situation, or a decision, you have to tune in to what feels true for you, not what your friends think, not what society says, not what you wish were true. What is true for you in that moment. Discernment is about alignment. It's about asking, does this feel right for the life I'm trying to build? Sometimes the answer is obvious. Sometimes everything feels similar, and it's hard to tell what's good and what's harmful. That's when discernment gets tricky, when the differences are subtle, when the consequences aren't immediate, when your emotions cloud your judgment. But that's exactly when it matters most. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Blaming your lack of discernment on others, constantly saying, I didn't know, I was misled, I'm just a victim, might feel easier in the moment. But it's not a sustainable strategy. It doesn't build strength. It doesn't build wisdom. It just makes you look helpless. It makes you look like someone who refuses to grow. And over time, that mindset will keep you stuck in the same cycles with the same regrets. It's easier to play the victim than it is to take responsibility. It's easier to say, I was wronged, than to say, I missed the signs. But strength isn't built in comfort. Growth doesn't come from denial. It comes from reflection. From saying, I didn't see it then, but I see it now, and I'll do better next time. That's not weakness. That's power. So yes, discernment is personal, it's subjective, but it's also essential. You have to choose what's best for your life, not based on fear, not based on guilt, but based on clarity. And if you get it wrong sometimes, that's okay. That's part of learning. What matters is that you keep refining your ability to tell the difference between what serves you and what sabotages you. Because in the end, discernment isn't just about making good choices. It's about becoming someone who knows how to choose. Someone who doesn't just react, but reflects. Someone who doesn't just survive, but evolves. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moors October Rants. Signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye for now.